Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So today we are going to be doing the earth signs, and that's going to be Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. The earth signs. So the incomparable Lob Instagon has been doing these hydro-dipped nug containers. They are airtight, so you can't keep your weed in there if you want, but I like to keep ritual items in mine. So this is like black salt, except that it's natron. And I combined it with some frankincense and myrrh essential oils. And I also put in some ashes from some spells, from some religious texts, rather, as I go through the translation process. Sometimes I print things out and then they're not quite right, so I have to do them again. So every time I do that, I then incinerate that paper and put it in here to make this ritual item. So I'm just going to gently sprinkle this around to protect the space and purify the space. And of course it does leave some residue on my hands. So I'm also going to use these black tourmaline hearts. Black tourmaline is very good for repelling negative energies. I'm just stamping you. Stamping you with that black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is really good if you are somebody who goes out and enjoys like nightlife activities. It will help to repel people that don't have the best intentions for you. But of course, it's good to develop your discernment for that as well. Hi, Kayla's lovely. Thank you for coming. Yes, black tourmaline is truly a blessing to have. So, the deck that I'm going to be using this week is the Cosmic Tarot. Oh, thank you, Maria. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming. This is a deck by Norbert Loesch, and I've seen it on quite a few tarot channels. I really love the in-depth symbolism that is available through the cards, but of course you also don't have to have a complete understanding of that symbolism to read tarot. let's get started with the sign of Taurus. Taurus. If you would like to go ahead and set your intention for the reading. Oh. Huh. I had put the Justice card in the wrong way. The wrong way. That's interesting. Well, I'll put the Justice card back in there in a minute. If you'd like to go ahead and set your intention and allow any issues you'd like to address in the reading to float gently up to the forefront of your thoughts, and just wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. The Justice card was in the deck incorrectly, and all of the other cards seem to be in there facing the correct way. So some of you Taurians might be getting justice this week in something, or might be justified in something. I am going to put it back in the deck and shuffle some more. So if anything is plaguing your thoughts, causing you anxiety or discomfort, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. As you inhale, draw in the divine white light of Source. And then as you exhale, just sigh out all that tension or stress or discomfort. It will return to Source and it will be transmuted. So, I'm going to shuffle these cards a little bit more. There we go. I think that's good. Okay. And let's see what we have here for you today, Taurus. I will write down your timestamp. There we go. We do have some major arcana, and we do have some reversals, but everything seems pretty evenly weighted. Lots of wands in your reading, not to the exclusion of any other suit, but I do see a lot of fire energy with the wands here. So let's get started. Taurus, we have here in the past the Devil card. And this card is in the upright. The Devil card, we have some of these figures chained to this figure who actually seem to be enjoying themselves. Some of them seem a little more content than others. This person seems to be kind of pulling at the restraints. This person back here doesn't look very comfortable. We're in a very industrial setting, including the wings sprouting out of the devil's back and heavy implications of bondage there as well. The devil can be associated with the sign of Capricorn, and as such can indicate one's bondage to a work situation, because Capricorn, we get these 10th house. Oh, yeah. The 10th house traits of career, practical matters. Um, so there might be things from the past that you are still trying to conquer. Perhaps the baser parts of your personality, or having an illness of some kind that you're still recovering from, or some kind of addiction. All of those things can be associated with the devil card. Here in the place of the significator, Taurus, we do have Pisces card, the moon. So this could be a little uncomfortable for a fixed sign like Taurus. Pisces being mutable water energy, so still passive energy. We've got this shellfish here. Looks like it's kind of starting on this journey. And shellfish, of course, have cycles much like the moon, where they shed and grow a new shell. And so at those times when they have freshly molted, they can be very vulnerable to physical attack from the outside, and often will use darker parts of the moon cycle as a cover for that molting cycle as well. So the moon, things might be unclear at this time. The moon is good for creative matters, however. So could be a good environment for you to work on artistic endeavors. The moon is crossed by the King of Swords. The King of Swords is air of air energy, can be associated with the sign of Libra, and is all about discernment, not having to do with binary discernment like good or bad, but navigating these morally gray situations more so, and especially navigating very complicated situations like we see with the moon card. So even though the moon is very watery energy, one can use an active energy like the King of Swords to find one's way through that unclear territory. The King of Swords is also possibly somebody who is guiding you, could be a mentor, could be somebody who is helping you out, could be a supervisor at work, could be a partner. There are many different options, as this is a general reading, and especially this would be somebody who, like this bird of prey we have here on the card, is able to view the situation from an outside vantage point and therefore remain objective in this matter. Down here in the MMCLI, so that's going to be the card that is below the significator, and it represents all of the origins and foundations upon which the goal or destiny very far in the future will be built. And of course, that will be addressed when we get to the midheaven card that is going to be above the place of the significator. So in the MMCLI, we have the Prince of Wands. And this is very much fire of fire energy, very fiery, very hot. We see the sun baking the land high in the sky, associated with Leo energy. There could be a lot of action right now, almost to the point, Taurus, that it is creating internal turmoil for you because it is stressful for so much action to be occurring. This card is showing up in the upright, and could also represent a new creative partner. However, you would want to really establish good working terms with this person before you get too far into any projects, because with that fire of fire energy, they might just as easily dart off on some new project, leaving your venture unfinished. So that's something to consider if this is a person who is in your life or a project that you're working on, because, of course, it could also be representative of a situation rather than a person. And that is going to, this flurry of activity is going to establish things in the distant future for you when we get to the goal or destiny. So now we're going to talk about your motivations and your perspective on the situation. We have lions show up a lot in the suit of wands. And we have a lion here. We also have Jupiter depicted on this person's tunic, their shirt. So this card could be associated with Jupiter in Leo. The Six of Wands is a card of victories. It is also a card of, at the same time, mobility and the potential for resting on one's achievements, one's prior achievements and work. So we see that this figure has kind of taken a knee in the middle of this dance routine, or perhaps as the grand finale, ta-da, of this dance routine. Now, this card is showing up in the reverse for you, Taurus. And what this might indicate is that you wish you had an opportunity to celebrate your victories. You wish that perhaps maybe others, you wish that maybe others were acknowledging your successes and your victories in a given situation. And that because things are moving so fast, all of these glories that are accumulating are kind of just going by the wayside and not really being fully acknowledged. So not that the victories aren't there, but perhaps that they're not being recognized, or perhaps even that you're not able to recognize them because things are moving so fast. So that's also possible. Here, from an outside person's perspective, we have the Judgment card. And we see these people who have been buried bursting out of the ground on Judgment Day. You see these trumpets coming down from heaven to call the blessed dead home. We see on the horizon possibly a sunset or a sunrise. The sun on this card is in a transitional state. These were the two periods of time, especially when dealing with the solar journey of the sun god Re, for example. At dawn was when the sun was born anew from Nut, the celestial mother. And then at dusk, the aging sun would then be traveling down into the underworld. So these were two points in the sun's cycle that were heavily associated with birth and death. And so on this card, where we have these people being raptured, the potential is there to transition to a new state, to a higher state. The Judgment card is associated with the transformative energies of Pluto, and therefore also with the sign of Scorpio, and both of those very close to transition. It is also a fire elemental card. So that's very interesting because Scorpio is a water sign and a fixed one at that. And Pluto, would be associated with Scorpio, but here we also get the transformative elemental energies of fire are tied into that. So this card showing up in the reverse for you, you might be right on the cusp of this transformation. The Judgment card can be trials that you're going through or tests that you're being put through as well, such that if this is in a work situation, somebody might be evaluating your performance. And because the card is showing up in the reverse, and we have on the opposite side of that this Six of Wands in the reverse, that you don't feel seen in your victories. They very well might not be seeing you in your victories with this Judgment card in the reverse. And this person might think that you're not up to the task, even though it's probably much more likely that not many people would be up to this task. It might be a bridge too far for most people. This Prince of Wands energy is very intense and moves very fast. It's very difficult to keep up with. In the future, however, Taurus, we do have the Ace of Pentacles. And this is showing up in the upright for you. So there is a new money-making opportunity right around the corner for you. And this is elemental earth energy, Taurus. So I'm sure that as an earth sign, you will be very well aligned with this energy. You'll be able to see it coming. You might even feel the movement towards you. I really want to reemphasize how chaotic this energy in the current situation is with the Moon card and the Prince of Wands. Things are very unclear. One thing that you could do, if you haven't been already, make sure that you're documenting things for your employer or for whoever it is that you're working with in this particular situation, even if it is a romantic partner who perhaps is not appreciating the work that you're putting in. Yes, Kayla's lovely. Yay, money. I think all of us are feeling that right now to some extent. Make sure that you're documenting all of these things very carefully. And that could be what the King of Swords is advising as well. So let's look now at the hopes and fears. We do have the Two of Cups coming out in the hopes and fears. This could be hoping for a new love relationship. It could be hoping that a current friendship blossoms into a love relationship. It could even be that, if these are coworkers, maybe you have a crush on one of them. It could be a desire for companionship itself, too. So not just romantic love, but also the possibility for a new friendship to come into your life. Here in the midheaven, so down in the Imam Silai, we had all of this chaotic energy. Up here in the midheaven, we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So the potential is there for great transformation. And I see that throughout the reading. We've got, this Judgment card in the reverse. I do see that there's nothing that's absolutely guaranteed in my readings, of course. But this is a more predestined kind of an energy with that Ace of Pentacles upright. But this Wheel of Fortune, of course, is very aligned with the suit of Pentacles because we have that disc imagery repeated all over it. We have the Tree of Life here, and all of the Sephirot are represented by the different planets. Down here it says Malkut, and up here it says Keter, and or Keter rather, Malkut and Keter. And we have the astrological wheel encompassing all of it, tying it also to the chronology of the astrological year, and the movement of the planets through the different signs, and the idea that that has some kind of indication as to what events might take place on the planet Earth and beyond. Can you imagine being an astrologer on a different planet? I think about that sometimes. So this card showing up in the reverse, there is potential for your intervention in some different ways, I think, in the current situation, Taurus. But the biggest obstacle that you have right now is that things are very unclear and that things are moving very fast. So the combination of those two things being very antithetical to the fixed earth energies that Tauruses crave comfort and security, very associated with second house traits. So you may have other energies that you're in your chart that are much more acclimated or attuned to dealing with these energies. For example, if you were a Taurus sun sign or a Taurus rising, but you had a Sagittarius moon, that might kind of help you to embrace more the chaos that is surrounding you right now. Look at where different energies are in your chart if it helps you kind of frame things differently in your mind. And try to open yourself up as much as possible to allowing yourself to kind of go with the flow with things and not worrying too much. Oh, yeah, I think so too. Not worrying too much about having to control very tightly any of these aspects. And that might help to turn this fortune to your favor. And especially, like I said, because we have this King of Swords crossing the place of the significator, that you documenting everything might be very helpful. The final outcome for you is another card having to do with wands, and it is in the reverse. We have this Ace of Wands in the reverse. So the potential for this energy is there. And this, of course, is very much like this Prince of Wands energy. Now, this card, as the final outcome, could be warning you that you're headed for burnout if you're not able to take a step back in your current situation. Whether this is a romantic relationship that's kind of gone off the rails, or a work situation, or even a collaboration, possibly a creative collaboration with a friend. Because that Prince of Wands is fire of fire energy, and the Ace of Wands is pure elemental fire. So that's very hot. That's a lot of active energy. If you do have fire sign energy in your chart, look to those placements for guidance, but also understand that you're going to need to be able to set boundaries in order to not get burned out in situations. And this Ace of Wands then showing up in the reverse, the potential for that energy or that new beginning creatively to be there for you, maybe if you are able to set those boundaries. Conserving your energy, or at least being the one who guides and directs the energy, the flow of energy. It's a bit of a tricky reading for you this week, Taurus, just because there's a lot going on for you, and I can tell that just by looking at the cards. We do have, remember also I said Judgment is fire energy, and we have that in opposition to this Ace of Wands in the reverse. So it's not so much, your supervisor might only see the things that you're not able to keep up with, rather than see the things that you are keeping up with. Because as long as everything's flowing smoothly, those things are not going to be noticed. And it really is kind of unfortunate that that's the way it goes, but make sure that you track all of those things that you have done successfully, and sit down with your supervisor or your partner and say, hey, look, here's some of the things. Oh, hi, Divine Nation. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you. Make sure that you're able to document those things that you are doing right, and explain why keeping up with all of these things is kind of why all of these things have fallen by the wayside. So that is my advice for you this week, Taurus. Thank you for coming. After I have concluded the Earth Signs reading, I will be going over to the members side of the channel and doing some crystal scrying with this beautiful chunk of turquoise. So if that interests you, you are cordially invited. But your presence here on the channel is appreciated in whatever form it takes. So now we're going to move on to the sign of Virgo. Oh, and before I forget, happy birthday to my Taurus sun signs. I need to get back in the habit of saying happy birthday. I missed Aries season, so happy belated to all my Aries sun signs. So Virgo, if you would, just go ahead and set your intention for the reading if you would like. And allow anything that you'd like to address in the reading to float gently up to the forefront of your thoughts, and wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. And then if there are things about those things that are stressful for you, or they are causing you any anxiety, go ahead and gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, draw in the divine white light of Source. And then as you exhale, you can just release that tension, that stress. It will return to Source, and it will be transmuted. All right, Virgo. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I will write down your timestamp and have a sip. Of my ginger beer. The full sugar flavor, I think, is better, but this still has like a nice gingery bite. All right, Virgo. Let's start here in the past for you. We have Taurus's card coming out here in the past of the Hierophant. One of the themes in the imagery in this deck is the idea of divine source light being channeled through different people in the deck, and it comes out through their eye sockets, and that light represents the manifestation of source in the world. So whatever you consider to be source, I do want to clarify that just very quickly if we could. When I say divine source, that is my non-denominational term for divine energy. So it could be for you Ray, it could be God, it could be Yeshua, it could be whatever you worship. So here we have the Hierophant channeling that energy and manifesting it out into the world. Now, when the Hierophant is in reverse like this, he's actually pointing that energy into the future. Whereas if the Hierophant is in the upright, where I hold him here, it looks like he's pointing it toward the future. But actually, when you're laying the card flat for the reading, that light is pointed into the past of the reading. The Hierophant is someone who acts as a go-between, an intermediary. So you could be a spiritual leader. The Hierophant also can be about a marriage that occurred in the past. And this would either be a marriage that is by now very well established or has dissolved. But that particular event is no longer influencing the current events in a concrete way, more in a long-term abstract way, if that makes sense. The Hierophant also divines and knows the future. So you could be somebody who reads for other people as well. But this card showing up in the reverse in the past could be about a premonition you had as well, about what would be occurring in the current situation. And that's why we see the divine source energy being channeled in this way in the picture. Or you might have been guiding other people, and that has led to the current events that we're about to get into. So those are some things to think about as we get into the place of the significator. And the card that we have there is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords, in the window back here, you actually have the couple from the Lover's card framed in this window. And the Queen of Swords knows that they're there, but she doesn't care. This is Gemini energy. We do have a white dove here, symbolizing her purity of ideology. So the Queen of Swords promotes the truth, whether that hurts people or whether it doesn't. If it's hurting them, it is because they have not been truthful. It's because they've been spreading deception and lies. And so the Queen of Swords, who is water of air energy, is using that emotional drive and push to promote the truth. And when she's upright like this, that would be the objective truth. and not the truth that benefits her, or twisting the truth to manipulate. So here in the crossing energy, we have mobility and we have victory in the form of the Chariot card. And this particular Chariot card, the horses are quite active. Some iterations of the Chariot card, the horses are not moving this much. And sometimes they look like they're pointed in slightly different directions. And this person driving the chariot does have the reins in his hands and does have control over their motion. But look at how active the horses are. And look at how calm and serene the charioteer is. And of course, this is Cancer energy, water sign energy. Even his hair and his beard are just barely streaming back in the wind, right? So with the Queen of Swords here and the Chariot, we see that, Virgo, at this current time, you probably are very much in control of yourself. There's victory, there's mobility coming in, and you are promoting the truth. Keep in mind also that yourself and Gemini share a ruling planet of Mercury, which of course is the planet of communication, and another symbol of mobility as well. Let's look down here in the Imam Silai. So the Imam Silai is, of course, everything down here below the significator that has to do with the origins and the foundations upon which the goal or destiny will be built, that we'll be looking at when we address the midheaven, which is above the place of the significator. And the card that we have in the Imam Silai today is the Ace of Cups. This is an emotional renewal of the self. So sometimes when you come through to a breakthrough with your mental health, that could be depicted by the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups could be meeting a new person who is about to have a profound impact on your life. So Ace of Cups can be catharsis. It can be revelation. It can be new people coming in. It can be new emotional bonds, the potential for that entering your life. All of those things are possible. Here from your perspective, this is going to be from your perspective, looking at the situation. We have the Two of Wands. So you might feel like at this time you are not able to properly plan for what is coming in the future. The Two of Wands has to do with all of your planning processes. It has to do with charting a course. You know, if you're going on a trip, you want to know which way you're going to go. So you look at a map ahead of time. You might draw on it. You might set your pins on Google Maps. You might write up an itinerary. But things might be happening right now in a way that you are not able to plan for just yet. Things might be kind of up in the air. And this might be on account of not really being able to see but in your mind's eye about it. The Hierophant also, if this is a marriage, there might be another person involved that you're having to plan in conjunction with this other person. The Chariot is victory and mobility. And remember, these horses are moving really fast. So similarly to what we saw in Taurus's reading, things might be moving kind of quickly that you're not really able to slot things into place along the way just yet, Virgo. From an outsider's perspective, looking in, We have the Queen of Pentacles, water of earth energy. So she does have some things in common with the Empress, and we see this little sheaf of wheat here, symbolizing that. The queens have these beautiful but spindly and kind of sickly looking willow trees in the background, depicting water energy. We have that rose here at the bottom and the pentacle coming out of it. The suggestion that perhaps that passive fertility is what is leading to the proliferation of the pentacles being manifested into the physical plane here, into the material world. But where we have this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, Virgo, others might perceive of you that you are not in a place right now where you're making a lot of money. And that's okay. That is not necessarily what needs to be happening every second of every day. Um, and it's certainly not a reflection of your worth as a person. So anyone who is using this as a reflection of your worth as a person, it's good that they've been honest with you, and you can use that truth to make your own decisions from there. Here in the future, Virgo, we do have a very good major arcana card showing up for you in the upright, and it is the World card. This has all the fixed sign energies on it. We have Taurus, we have Leo, we have Aquarius, and we have Scorpio. And we have this figure here in the middle who is a bit like you, Virgo. She does have one foot on this beautiful red rose. And I've been talking about all week how the different colors of the flowers represent different aspects. So we often think about like white magic and black magic. But in fact, sometimes you can think about it like white magic and red magic, the sacred and the profane. So red magic would be, associated with the red goddess. I won't go into it too much here, but it is about carnal things. And so here we see that the world, in fact, is not a virgin, but does have understanding of earthly delights. She's dancing with this beautiful sparkly cane above her head, too. But not the mechanism of her dance is not eroticism. The mechanism is to turn the world itself. The eroticism is merely a byproduct of that, and also feeds back into that loop. The World card, Saturnian energy, is a closed system. It is both the beginning and the end. Beginning of the end. The four corners of the earth fixed in their place. This card is about a situation having been pulled fully and manifested in the physical plane here on Earth. It's become full reality. So whatever it is that you were waiting on, or that you maybe caught a glimpse of back here with this Hierophant energy looking forward, you will finally see it coming into concretion in the future, Virgo. And I do think that you've been seeing signs of that showing up in your life. Here in the place of your hopes and fears, we have the Nine of Cups in the reverse. Now, the Nine of Cups is a card of wish fulfillment. And again, we have these little pink flowers showing up. Could be fulfillment of desire. And because this card is in the reverse and it is in your hopes and fears, you feel like you're going to be waiting waiting forever for this wish fulfillment, and that it will never come, but that you'll always feel like you're right on the edge of that happening. Now, I don't think that's the case. I think that whatever that itch is, it will be scratched, because the World card is it's got a lot of closure associated with it. So you're not going to just be waiting forever. You will get some kind of answer. Here in the midheaven, this is going to be the result of what we saw down here in the MMCLI, this Ace of Cups, possibly meeting new people or having your own revelation about something. We have the Four of Swords in the reverse. So if you have not been getting much rest, the potential for it is there in the future. However, if you have felt like a lot of the current situations have been kind of waiting for something to happen, this is about not waiting anymore. This is about time to take action moving forward, that you will get the opportunity to take action. You're not just resting after a battle anymore. You're on to the next thing. So that is the destiny of this situation, and it is going to come either through this revelation or through meeting new people. And you are already actively meeting these new people. So if this card was showing up like this, or if your card, the Hermit, came out, I would think perhaps you weren't going out or putting yourself in the right situations to meet these people. But because this card is coming out in the upright, I do think that you're already putting yourself out there to meet the people that are going to help you move forward in this situation. And then the final outcome card for your reading, Virgo, is a far cry in some ways from our very objective-minded Queen of Swords that we got in the place of the significator. The Prince of Cups can be associated with this transformative scorpionic energy. We also have a snake here. So these energies of these very dangerous and hidden things, scorpions and snakes, have a tendency to harm humans because they are hidden. And when they are discovered, it is by chance and it is painful. The Prince of Cups, this is fire of water energy. So the fire being tempered by the water in a perpetual cycle of heating and cooling. It can be a bit volatile, like a steam engine. If you've ever seen a steam engine explode, it's very intense and very dangerous. There's a lot of passive-aggressive energy that is sometimes associated with the Prince of Cups, but he's showing up in the upright here. And it's important to keep your steam engine fueled, Virgo, during this time. And maybe leave behind the idea that you'll be able to make money in a passive way. With that Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, that there might be more work and action that needs to be put in. But perhaps you haven't been set up for the right situation for that to happen yet. So now that situation is coming around. Most of all, the Prince of Cups is reminding you to trust your heart and your gut. And whatever messages that you have gotten in the past in this situation, from that Hierophant energy looking forward from the past in this case, so that you don't really need to plan ahead. If if you look, the figure on the Two of Wands actually looks a lot like our Prince of Cups here. They're not exactly the same, but they look like they could be related. So do trust your heart, do trust your gut, maintain your discernment, and you will be seeing closure in the near future, and it will be very definitive for you, Virgo. So that is going to conclude the Virgo reading for this week. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me in the live stream, or later if you're tuning in after the live stream is concluded. After I do the sign of Capricorn, I'm going to go over to the members side of the channel and do some crystal scrying with this beautiful piece of turquoise. So if that is of interest to you, you are cordially invited. But of course, your presence here on the channel is appreciated, no matter what form it takes. So, finally, we have gotten to the sign of Capricorn. And I have to make sure all my cards get the right direction in the deck, because that Justice card came out for that, for the Taurus reading, right? Just because I didn't put it in properly. So Capricorn, if you would like, go ahead and set your intention for the reading. Allow any thoughts and concerns you would like to address to rise up to the forefront of your thoughts and wait there gently and patiently while I shuffle the cards. Now, if any of these things are stressful for you, Capricorn, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. As you inhale, draw in the divine white light of Source, and as you exhale, just release any tension or stress or discomfort you are experiencing, and it will return to Source, and it will be transmuted. I do just want to make sure that these cards are shuffled well before I begin. Lest anyone get the idea that I have favorites when I do the different signs. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. The Empress has been very popular this week. Very popular. All right, so get all my cards situated and write down your timestamp. Oh, that's great that you're a Capricorn rising. Very organized, I'm sure. I like having a rising earth sign. I feel like it's very grounding. So Capricorn, we're going to start here in the past. And this card is a major arcana, and it is in the upright. You might be feeling a little stuck right now. We have the Hanged Man hanging from this tree branch by the toes. Now, in this particular case, this is a purely voluntary arrangement. This person could choose to move themselves from this position if that's what they want to do. In a lot of the iterations of this card, the position is a bit less voluntary. Perhaps the hands are bound or the foot is bound to the tree. It is a card of stasis. It is a card somewhat associated with spiritual growth, in that patience and having to wait and push through self-sacrifice often improves us as people. The Hanged Man is elemental water energy and thus is associated with the planet of Neptune and the water signs. So Capricorn, if you have strong water energies elsewhere in your chart, I would examine those for guidance possibly. This card showing up in the upright in the past lets me know that this situation of feeling like you are in stasis or that there's a lot of self-sacrifice on your part is kind of tying the past events here into the current situation. So this is perpetuating into the current situation. And in fact, what we have in the place of the significator is the Temperance card. Now, this is your neighboring sign, Sagittarius's card in the major arcana. And we do have both of these cups pouring out evenly. We have the sun kind of hiding behind a cloud. We have some different flowers here. We have some daffodils or irises, and we have a little pink flower kind of peeking out of this bush that could be about repressing one's sexuality, not overly repressing, but just keeping it in check, keeping it balanced. The Temperance card being about things like balance, patience, temperance having to do with moderation, and keeping all of these things pretty even keel, but there being a practice to that, that being a daily ritual, a routine perhaps, that helps you to keep everything in check. The crossing energy of the Temperance card is the Princess of Cups. And of course, we have the incomparable Greta Garbo playing the Princess of Cups in this deck. So the princesses are like the pages. This is earth of water energy. And one thing about the pages is that with that elemental earth energy, they are pulling things from the ethereal plane down into the physical, down into the material world. So there's a lot of manifestation in the pages. They can be a younger energy. The Princess of Cups can also be about an offer being made. And whatever it is that's being offered to you, there might be a need for temperance associated with it, a need for practice, a need for holding back or harnessing energies in a certain way. And it might be coming off of this energy with the Hanged Man. So now we've got water energy coming out strongly with this Page of Cups and with the Hanged Man. Water having to do with emotions and being a passive element. Here in the place of the Imam Sili, so that's right below the significator, and it's going to establish a lot of the origins and foundations for what we look at in the midheaven. Up here, the goal or destiny that's above the place of the significator. And down in the Imam Sili, we have the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. So you could be borrowing money for something right now. Or you could have more money going out right now than you have coming in. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you can take out a loan to start a small business or to buy a house, or that you need to spend more money to lead to bigger and better things that you want to accomplish. So that in and of itself is not necessarily a bad card, especially when we're looking at temperance being right above that. Here, from your perspective, Capricorn, we have the King of Pentacles in the reverse. So, because of this, with the Six of Pentacles, whatever that situation represents for you, you might be feeling, Capricorn, like you were not as set up financially, as financially stable as you wanted to be going into this particular situation. Now, we do have a goat up here on this little mountain, but sometimes the King of Pentacles is associated with Taurian energy, a fellow earth sign, and can have to do also in the reverse with outmoded ways of thinking about money. Ways of thinking about money that are not going to serve you in the long term, that are not going to get you closer to your goal, that you should release. And perhaps that's been part of this process. There is a certain amount of introspection that goes on in the sensory deprivation tank of the Hanged Man. So now we're going to see what the outside perspective is, looking in on the current situation. And the card that we have there is the Princess of Wands. And the Princess of Wands, again, is one of the pages associated with that earth energy and perhaps things being made tangible, very young energy. And often the Princess of Wands is somebody who's very eager, very enthusiastic, but not very serious. So sometimes when this card comes out, especially in a love reading context, it could be that somebody might see you as a player or somebody who's only interested in one night stands. Now, again, that's the outside perspective looking in. The wands do have to do with active passions. And whereas the suit of swords is very objective, the suit of wands is very subjective and very passionate. So somebody might see that you're very enthusiastic about something, but feel like you're not serious about it. Here in the future, we have the Empress, and she's coming out in the reverse. So the potential for the Empress to show up in the future is there. But right now you don't see that, and the current events might not be set up for that completely. We do have this bird here bringing the Empress this berry. The Empress is Venus energy associated with Taurus and Libra, but is overall, through association with the divine feminine, more of a passive energy. And people and animals like this bird bring things to the Empress, and is also associated with that kind of passive fertility of gestation and then giving birth. So these things take a long time to develop. And the Empress showing up in the reverse in the future might show that you have a ways to go yet before the fruition of this long-term process. That people are still going to be coming to you. There's going to be more of this building process going on. That you're no longer in this state of stasis. You won't be in a state of stasis. You will be in a state of growth. Here in the hopes and fears. It's very interesting that we would have gotten this card in the place of the hopes and fears, because the Sun card is always a good card to get in your reading, whether it is upright or reversed like it is here. The Sun card has to do with success, everything being just about perfect. But where we see this card in the reverse, we start to notice things like the little insect holes that have been eaten in this plant. We start to notice that the foliage on this particular tree has all died and is gone. The child is still very happy, or content looking, rather. We have a couple of white birds here. There's purity of the situation. We have a little sliver of moon up here in the corner of the card, too, to remind us that even though things are very good right now, there's always the potential for that cycle to change. And I think that's what you're afraid of, Capricorn. That even when things are very, very good, you won't be able to appreciate them. Or that you'll be constantly thinking or waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? So here in the midheaven, this is going to be the result of you taking out this loan with the Six of Pentacles, this borrowing money or spending a lot of money. We have the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups is a very good card. It's all about very tight-knit groups of friends, very close friendships and associations with other people. Being able to trust other people with the Three of Cups. So because of whatever this is that you have expended energy and resources to put into motion, that growth process is bringing in the kind of people that you can trust and that you can become close with emotionally. And this card is in the upright, so that is a slightly more predestined energy than some of the reversals that we see here in the reading. The final outcome for you is a reversal. It is the Three of Pentacles. So the potential for this is there as well. The Three of Pentacles. And we do have somebody kind of committing an OSHA violation here in this yellow shirt. But overall, the Three of Pentacles is about professional reputation and is about being able to work with groups. So it's possible that your professional reputation has taken a hit for some reason or another. You need to rebuild that. We have another three here with the Empress. That the potential for this is there, but things might not be completely set up for it yet. And I think the key lies down here in your perspective, where we have that King of Pentacles in the reverse. Rather than worrying about not having enough resources to pour into a particular project, I think that you should find ways to pull in other people, other investors, and that is going to open up for you to work with those people, increase your professional reputation, and allow for your business or your endeavor, whatever it might be, to grow and flourish. All right, Capricorn, so that is going to conclude your reading for this week. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who showed up for the live stream. Thank you to all of you who watch my readings. I greatly appreciate